Except for the fact that I'm not getting any like stability out of the internet whenever Six Nations comes on. I can see his stuff. He's on. He's on. He starts to talk. Crash.
Yeah.
Sorry. Welcome to A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie. We discuss the wonderful film today from 2022 called Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is really the fourth story in the series. The third story in the series was the 2009 Ghostbusters, the video game, released on Xbox, I think 360 or it was 2009.
Mhm.
Great game. Everybody should either play it or if you love the Ghostbusters, just go watch a Let's Play. And there's quite a few good ones out there. With me today is the ever lovely Janet from Another Planet. Should we regain footage from live in Idaho? We'll have Six Nations 31 Kings on.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Janet, this was a movie that we selected because there was a character in our chat one night that got brought on a panel named Mikey Sue's 4, who I don't mind as a human being. I just kind of worry about it when I'm on a panel with him because once he starts to talk, I don't talk. Like nobody talks. All the oxygen in the room goes off to Mikey, and he talks. He just continues. Just continues to talk. And I didn't really want to bring him on, but I would to discuss this movie because I didn't like it. I really like. There's parts of the film I really like. Like I like the budget that was used for the good props, for the set design.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the fact they said it was in Oklahoma because there's no fucking mountains in Oklahoma. Thank you, Dan Aykroyd, for pointing out the obvious in the movie. We already knew that because I'd driven through it numerous times. But I didn't like the script, and I didn't like as much as Callie Coon is supposed to be like the ideal person Jason Reitman envisioned for this character. I did not like her character at all, and I don't care if she got her closure at the end of the movie or not. It made it hard for me to watch because she's just one of these people that caused all of her own problems, and I'm supposed to give a shit. No, I'm sorry, I don't do that well.
I'm looking something up real quick. I will send it to you if you need it. It's proof that there are mountains in Oklahoma.
There's not really mountains in Oklahoma.
It says Wichita Mountains National Wildlife Refuge, and then the Turkey Mountains Wilderness urban area. There's two sets of mountains in Oklahoma. Well, I'm just saying it's plausible. So now I can understand why they did that.
But there was one shot where it makes it look like this mountain, which is the center of all evil. They have an ancient evil buried there, and a guy that worshipped it. And then right behind it's the fucking Grand Canyon. If they would have said this movie's set in Arizona,
it wasn't a Grand Canyon. I didn't see that. I don't know where you got that. I wish you could find a picture of it and share it, but I didn't see that. Okay, the thing is, I like this movie a lot because I thought they did a very good job of showing what happened from when the Ghostbusters you didn't see anymore, when they disbanded basically until today, basically, even though it's not today, but in a 20-something year span of time, what happened between then and now. And I liked how they pieced it together. I thought the script was pretty good. I mean, there was some, loose ends in there, but the reason I liked it so much is because they put so much, to me, memorabilia in it, to pull me back into the fun, giddy way I thought when I saw the original Ghostbusters. The music that they played, just little things that they added here and there just made me just say, oh, I just love it. I had the same fuzzy feeling, I guess that you could say, that I had when I watched the original Ghostbusters. And I really did love it. It was very, to me, it was a very authentic way to close out the story. Because everybody ages, and nobody can stay young forever. And who wants to watch everything that's CGI? I don't. I would like to see the story continue, but with original people. So we got that. The young girl that they chose, what was her name? I have to look at my list real
Grace
quick.
McKenna.
Okay, Grace McKenna. They did a great job because she looks just like the character from the cartoon. So this was like a mold of the original Ghostbusters movie and the cartoon molded together with little simplicities here and there through it. I just enjoyed it. I just enjoyed it so much. It was so good. And she looked so much like the cartoon character. Even you agreed with me on that part of it.
Yeah.
But the thing
you watched
is,
the real Ghostbusters when you were when you were younger.
And the thing is that the aspect of her, the woman who shows up, you see her with the kids, interacting with the kids, the son and the daughter, and she is the daughter supposedly of the character that I'm wearing in honor of him who passed away, and he was a genius. He was in love with mold spores and anything that was far-fetched and weird. He was a true scientist, is what we would, the nerd, the king of the nerds, basically, is how I would look at him when I first watched Ghostbusters. I thought he was great. And him and what's his name? Darn it. The one that was in the movie today and played
Paul Rudd?
Dan Aykroyd's character. The
Ray
way they
Spance?
bounced off each other, because they were both nerds. But this one who passed away was nerdier. But the thing is that they gave closure to the characters because of the gap that happened and why there was a gap. But you have the young woman who grew up, her dad left, just abandoned her and her mother, basically, is what she felt. And he was nuts, or he went crazy or whatever, and he moved to Oklahoma and didn't contact anyone anymore after that. And we don't know why. You know what I mean? We don't understand throughout the most of the movie, because she's bitter. She's basically drinks a lot. She didn't smoke. I never saw her smoke in the movie, but she just lets her kids just do whatever. Like when they get evicted from the apartment, so they pack up the few things they have and they drive to Oklahoma because her father had passed, and that's what the only thing she had left was his property. It was like a huge swath of land, farmland, and it was really, really pretty, except it had an old house that was about to fall apart, and it had some other stuff, here and there, and she was pissed because she, and then she found out when Annie Potts' character came in and said that there was no money, that he was penniless, basically. And you don't know until the end of the movie that she and one of the other Ghostbusters was the one paying all the bills. They took care of the rest of them, because that one of them became very rich because he was a good businessman. But you don't find that out till later on. But she was just a bitter mom. And then to see the grandchildren, the grandson and the granddaughter, interact with each other and stuff, to me, I adored their characters. They acted like typical teenagers to me. You had one that was like 13, becoming a teenager, and hormones starting to kick in. And then the older one, which is, I guess he was like 16 or 17 because he got a job when he got there. So he had raging hormones, you could tell, and he did a good job at portraying that character. So up till then, what did you think of the parts that I already talked about for that part of the character arcs where they're starting out to show you who they are?
I didn't really like the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it. She's needing help. She's got things going on, but she's needing a hand up. And I just didn't really care for her too much, because it seemed like she was really not willing to change a whole lot. In fact, she's asking for, like, hey, can you just give me some time? I can get it all together. Let me do this and it'll be fine. And next thing you know, he's like, you know what? Once you leave, I'll put up I'll change the locks for you. No big deal. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty good. And I know that sounds like heartless, but I don't care.
No, because basically he forced her to make a decision. You know what I mean? Just like she should have been doing with her own kids. So she wasn't parenting very well. basically, as the story unfolds, we realize that the daughter basically is the mom of the family. She's making more decisions. She's a better critical thinker and all these different things, and sees things more maturely than her mother. At least
And
that's how it came across to me.
with the daughter, with the granddaughter, I wasn't super impressed, but I could see where they were trying to show you like the mom had failed and the daughter had tried to rise to the level of being an adult, and she tried to be the super confident one throughout the whole film, which it kind of felt. I hate the word cringy, but cringy. Damn it,
See,
Sensation.
I didn't see that at all when I watched this movie. I saw a young girl who was starting to have the little tingling sensation of becoming a woman, a young woman, but she had the brain of her grandpa. She was wide open to wanting to know about every single thing that's going on, and she was very smart and intellectual. And you see that in different scenes as when they go to the next town in Oklahoma and they see the dump that basically looks like a dump.
It
But
does.
as you see them going through stuff in the house, you realize that there's a fortune there, basically, to anyone else that would say, hey, I'm going to sell this or that or do this, that.
I was complaining throughout the entire movie both times I watched it because to me that entire property he had
Mhm.
was like
A gold
million and a
mine.
half $1.5 million with all the pumps, with all the piping, with all the infrastructure he had on there, not including the buried fucking ghost traps. But
Hmm.
I'm just talking about like things that like an oil and gas guy would see. There's a lot of stuff there we can pillage, use, and ship to another location and put it to use, and it will become fantastic for money making. All we've got to do is just do some maintenance on it. Maintenance meaning less than 8 hours. It should be fine. And then they had the fucking Ecto One sitting in the garage, which that fucking broke your heart.
Yeah, it was sad,
And
but see, that's what I'm talking about with the nostalgia of it, because we know any person who'd watched the original Ghostbusters, getting to watch this one, and it's called Afterlife. Okay, we know how much time has gone by, so to see Ecto One sitting there all dusty and just basically rotting away in an old barn with a tarp over it. I was excited when I saw the young teenage boy go in there and lift up the thing and look like someone was pushing him towards the vehicle. It was like
yeah,
interference from a ghost, maybe,
and it
to
feels
get
like
him.
the entire time, like Egon's spirit is kind of focusing and funneling him and the other
Yes.
granddaughter
Hmm.
along, and they're pushing them along to like go grab these things that I've made and I've set aside for you and do these things.
Yeah, it was because he knew the danger that was about to happen, and that's why he left. That's why when he left the other guys and went to Oklahoma, it was because he was telling them there's something bad's going to happen, and this is where that one guy was buried, and it was an old mine, and the special kind of metal they were bringing out of this mine they used to build the building in New York City, the one that the first original Ghostbusters was focused around. The structures and the way it was made was like a giant antenna, to call out to the Gozer to come there and to in the world, basically, type of thing. So that all unfolds slowly throughout the movie as they bring in different characters, like Paul Rudd is her new teacher, a science teacher, and kind of a love interest for the mother that's hates life right now. She's miserable and she hates herself and she hates her life and she's stuck with an old rundown piece of shit house, and her kids are bad. They won't listen. She's just a typical, like you said, wine drinking mother. So I didn't really like her that much. I thought that they could have gotten someone else to portray her probably better.
It's not really the actress's fault, even though she doesn't really stretch too much. It doesn't look like she's stretching to be a wine mom. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like the character at all. I
Yeah.
don't even give
I
a
didn't think
shit
her character was very good.
if you get your closure at the end of the movie.
Hmm.
I was here for Ghostbusters, not for family drama, Lifetime movie network bullshit. I'm good.
Okay, well that's fine. I thought it was good. I loved
Sorry.
it. I thought it was a good the whole way that it was set up, and the fact that Ivan Reichman's uh, son is the one that directed this movie. I could tell because it had a touch of love from the director because he made sure to clue in on tons of different things, and even one of them was the one that you brought up that I saw it, but it didn't hit me the same way it hit you when. They were driving the Ecto 1 through town trying to catch that one muncher, a ghost
Mhm.
to capture it. And it broke, it tore off a big chunk what was it? The spigot in the ground. What do they call those again? For the firemen,
Yeah,
firemen's
for the,
thing.
went after the fire, went after the fucking uh,
I can't remember what it's called.
the fire, the
Fire hydrant. Yeah.
hydrant.
When
Yeah,
he bit the fire hydrant and they drove by to get him, the water shot out and it cleaned off some of the Ghostbuster symbols. So you could all of a sudden see,
you can see
ta-da, on the
details in
side
the
of the
car. It
vehicle.
wasn't all dust colored.
Yeah, so little things like that was like reminiscent of the original Ghostbusters, and it just made me very nostalgic when I watched
That
the
seeing
whole
the
thing.
car get
And
cleaned
then
up was making me
the,
happy.
the sound effects that they used, the little doo, 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 music. I mean,
The
just
intro
little things,
notes.
all from the original. I just loved. It just kept me enthralled in the whole movie because I couldn't wait to see the next little tidbit they were gonna check out. I just love that. That kept me involved. But I love the character arcs because you see two young kids with a single mom, and for whatever reason, we don't find out why she's single, but we see them, and
I get an
they see,
idea.
yeah, because she was a bitch, basically. But
Yeah, I
that,
mean,
yeah,
no offense,
probably.
but Paul Rudd's not a catch in this movie.
Well,
He's
I
not a
thought he was
catch.
adorable.
He's
I
not a
like
key.
nerds, so
He's not a catch in this film. Like
I thought he was.
he plays a weak male very well. Not that his Ant Man persona is like super testosterone
I
dropping. You
didn't
know,
think
the
he
guy
was weak
ordering.
at all. I
You know,
guess it's just the way men view other men or something. You're all like doing dick measuring type
uh,
stuff. Women
yeah,
don't do
because like
that.
he's got a fucking classroom of kids, and instead of teaching them, he just throws a VHS in there, and be like, all right, since you're not going to listen to me, go watch a fucking movie.
Well, the thing
And
is that he was dealing with the way the kids are today. I mean, basically, that's what you see more and more of.
I I fucking disagree with that
Because
style
that's
so hard.
different. Because when he came in, he was in his office looking at that stuff in his office, and the young girl went in, and she's like, uh, "What's up with that map?" She started asking him questions. He looked at her like, wow, he's shocked. He actually has a student that understands science. See, so it kind of gives you two sides of what it's like to be a teacher. Today, you have kids on their cell phones and they're talking back. They just say, I'm not going to do that. You have most of the kids in school, well, I wouldn't say all of them, but a lot of kids that go to school today have no respect for their teacher. They don't listen. They don't raise their hand. They just get up and walk around the room. And the teacher has to do the best they can with their hands tied because they're not allowed to do anything. They're not allowed to discipline the kids. They're not allowed to do anything. So I can see why the schools are collapsing because we don't have structure anymore. And that, to me, that's what I saw. That's what I saw in the school. But it was a connection through him and the new student that how he was impressed that he actually had a student that cared about science besides the other little kid. What was his name? Uh,
Glenn Wolfhard?
yeah, I'm trying to find his name. He was
Glenn
called
Wolfhard or
Podcast.
podcast?
Yeah,
Okay.
podcast. He was adorable. I just loved him. He was a little nerd and geek, and that's one of the reasons why I first fell in love with Ghostbusters. Is because, as you can see from my hat right here, I am a geek. I'm a nerd. I like all that stuff. I'm into sci-fi and fantasy and comic books and all that. So seeing other people, especially other adults that are intrigued and like the same type of things as I like, I'm gonna go towards those people. I mean, if there's a bunch of guys over here and they're jocks and they're all talking about football and scratching and spitting on the ground, and there's a group of nerds over there looking at a bunch of comic books, I'm not gonna go to the football guys. I'm gonna go over to the nerds because they are doing things that I enjoy. And why would I hang out with a bunch of guys that don't even aren't interested in? See, I don't know. That's just how I looked at it. And I did see Paul Rudd as a frumpy, wimpy guy. I saw him as a guy that was just a geek. He's into nerds, just like Spangler was. See, that's how I look at it. So I don't. I'm sorry that you didn't see it the same way I did. I wish you could have, because I thought it was great. I thought the character arcs were awesome. The way the girl matures when she realizes that. When her mother and her have that argument, and she says to her mother, she says, well, Grandpa was just really smart, and he was trying to accomplish something and didn't have anybody to believe him. And basically the remarks from the mother made her feel like that the mom thought she was just as stupid and worthless as her dad was. See, that's how she felt, the way her mother talked to her. So she felt she had no connection with her mom, and her mom couldn't understand her, because her mom was just a normal person with not very smart. You know what I mean? So I can see that. And then the brother was like in between the sister and the mom when it came to intelligence. So, that's why I think they had a decent relationship. But, sisters and brothers and sisters, whichever way it goes, they understand each other, and they understand what it's like to get in trouble by mom, or to be grounded, or, things like that. So when your brother or sister gets grounded over something, you kind of like sneak up cookies or whatever, when they're not supposed to have it because they got in trouble, but you feel for them because sometimes it's happened to you. So, that's just something you do with your siblings. So I just thought all that was really good. But I'll sit up for a minute, so I'll let you talk about a few things.
I think there's a lot of this movie that's really good. Like, there's some things let me discuss real quick. That the special effects team has really got to be congratulated on this one. The special effects for this film is fantastic. They have some good CGI effects, but the real star of the movies are the various ghosts or various other items. Many of them are portrayed by puppets with a little bit of extra special effects wizardry. You get some really good effects from this film, and it pairs really well with the set design and with the accurate look that the film gets. It really does make you feel like you're in small town America, although it should have been small town Canada, because Canada is where they shot the majority of this film at. Trying to tell me that like these mountains are in Oklahoma, I showed the mountains earlier. Like, those aren't Oklahoma mountains. I'm fucking sorry. I'm a geographical fucking bigot. Tell the fucking truth where you film shit.
But the sad truth is, most of our movies are filmed in other countries because it's gotten too expensive to film here. Okay,
it's fine.
You need to say that. That's a fact.
After 1992, we moved up all of our operations into Vancouver, and we started working up there because they had ghosts too. And we were able to pay the bills from up there, and that's it. They bring all their friends, they settle out in the outskirts of Alberta. Great. It'd be fine.
Well, all movies pretty much go and try to find locations that fit where, the script tells them that they need. And then they have to be able to say, okay, well, we have 3 different locations we can film in, and the one that's cheaper is the one they're going to take, because they want to save money for other things like CGI or extra people they need to have in a shot, things like that. Costume, set design, things like that are more important once they have a location. So that's why they pick places to put movies. But the thing is, it doesn't matter to me where they filmed it, as long as when I'm watching the movie, it's authentic to me in my mind as I view it. That's all that matters to me.
Okay.
That's what the director's trying to show you, is a story and bring it to life. And to me, I felt he did a great job with all the little tiny details that he put in. Anyone that loved Ghostbusters, or even the second Ghostbusters, both of those, I don't see how you could sit and watch this movie and not have the same nostalgic feel with the sound effects, the little things that they did with the sets. I just thought
the problem Bruce has with this movie is all the fucking sprinkling of member berries here and there. Like, this movie, it felt like it was like I was going back in the theater with The Force Awakens, because it kept on projecting to me like, hey, do you remember this? Do you remember? Do you remember you like 1984? Hey, do you remember? Do you like 1992?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like this? Do you like the way that we made that singular small reference to Ghostbusters 2? Do you like the way we did all this? Do you like? And it's like it's looking for affirmation, is what I
But
kept
see, I didn't
feeling
see
like.
that.
I had a 5-year-old kid asking me to like the film because they would play a musical note from the 1984 soundtrack,
Mm-hmm.
and then like they played a few things from modern day, like I guess the young girl that I wasn't really too enthused about, the Wesley Crusher female. Uh,
I
she
didn't get that either.
she actually has a song in the movie, which I saw at the end credits, like, oh wow, that was her singing Joy. Um,
The little
I
brunette that had
yeah,
the spinal bifida or
she's
whatever
a
it was,
singer. She's an
scoliosis.
singer and actress. She's
She
got
sang.
scoliosis. Yep, she sang one of the songs in the movie.
No,
And
I
then
didn't
there's some
notice
other
that.
callbacks to other things. The entire movie's got like so many callbacks in it. There's really not room for an actual like original story or original plot, but you don't really need an original story or plot. You just want it to, make the next 2 hours pass appreciably. Make me
Mm-hmm.
enjoy the fact that I paid $30 to sit in this movie theater D box section
Mm-hmm.
with a gallon and a half of like yellow popcorn with butter and a $9 bottle of Shiner Bock.
Mm-hmm.
Let me have this, that enjoyment, that lie to myself that I'm having fun and I'll be okay. But this movie kind of failed on a few levels for me, and I wish it didn't. It's nothing truly wrong or bad, but this movie never achieves greatness like even Ghostbusters 2 did. And for me to say that Ghostbusters 2 is a superior film for me, um, I hate to I hate to tell you guys that are diehards of this movie, but this film there's a lot of style but very little substance in it. And Jason
Yeah,
Reitman still
I
needs
didn't
to
see
hone
that.
he still needs to hone his abilities as a director because he masturbated too long at the very end with the scenes of the CGI Harold Ramis.
Mm-hmm.
Harold Ramis should have
Well,
grinned half his
show that
face.
photo. Can you bring that photo up?
Yeah.
The part where they are fighting, because they find out over the time that basically everything he had done while he was there was trying to protect us from Gozer from coming again. And oh, I'm echoing. Sorry.
Hold on. This picture right here.
It was great. It's a great picture.
Okay, that's too close. Give me this. Give me this. There you go. This picture right here, I liked. If they would have ended the movie with this moment where like three guys like, hey, you're here, Egon, and Egon just nods, and he like everybody gets a handshake in, and then like his daughter runs over and hugs him, and then he turns into star stuff and leaves. That'd have been great. 40 seconds. Boom, bang, done. And that would have been great. But he stuck around on camera for like 6 minutes. For 6 minutes, we're there, and I'm like, I remember Harold Ramis movies that were fun. They were good. There were some great movies with Harold Ramis that are amazing. But this movie really is not one of the better ones that I mean, I know we made the movie for Harold, but it doesn't live up and stand tall to the legacy and be like, this is a worthy addition.
But
If it
see,
wasn't for Ghostbusters
why do
1 and
you
2,
think that they made the movie for him?
because at the very end it says for Harold.
Yeah, I know, but the script was written. Oh, I'll have to wait till you. I don't have a. You can go ahead and take that picture down.
Okay, but
Because of
this
my
is
echo.
it's a neat film. It's not my favorite by any means, and I'm not going to give this a glowing review. In fact, it's going to get a negative review of 49%.
That's fine.
But
I'm going to definitely do it higher than that, but that's okay. But throughout the whole movie, they're putting little tidbits in there to show you that there's some kind of something there. Because before you see the daughter find out that he's died and that he's giving her his property. You see him in a chair, or you don't know for sure because you can't really see him, sitting in a chair, and something comes and takes him, and he's dead. He dies in his chair. So that's how they find out he's dead. But it was a scary, incident. We don't know for sure what happened.
Janet,
But all
you're
this
live
opens
on.
up. Do what?
You're live in Discord, so hang up your Discord, will
Oh,
you? That's why you're echoing.
oh, mine's off.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Back in my okay, you did exit. Okay, good.
The thing is that you see little things happening, like the chessboard where the granddaughter is laying in bed, and you see her put all the pieces on the board, and when she wakes up, there's a piece moved for a move, and then she moves another piece back and forth like that, and then that little I can't remember what it's called, the thing that has the little bat wings that can come up with the lights going on, but there's an entity around or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she uses that and follows it around the house, and then she ends up going out to this little tiny barn that's out there, but it's like it goes down a pole, like a fireman's pole. And when you get down there, it's a whole office, and it's got lights on and everything, computers, books, and scientific equipment, everything down there. Like he's been down there for years. I mean, books stacked up. He's been down there digging around trying to do some type of scientific experiments and stuff. So she's starting to see a little bit of her grandpa's world, but all of a sudden she sees a light come on over that table, and so she goes over there, and basically it's like he's trying to get her to do something. It's like he's pushing her a little bit. So he shows her where the different tools are, and one of the backpacks are there. So she takes it, and she ends up fixing it and putting it back together. For whatever reason, she doesn't know, because he's not speaking. He's just showing her something. Somebody's showing her something. And she kind of figures it might be her grandpa, because he died in that house, right? So then the same thing with the grandson, when he goes out and he finds Ecto-1 out there, it's all dusty and stuff, and he pulls the thing off, and it looks like someone helps him pull off the tarp. And then when he's clicking on the engine and the son's trying to work on it, or the grandson, you could tell he's not a professional or anything. He's just a teenager tinkering around, and he's trying to start the car and it won't start. All of a sudden you see some wire that's not really connected good move by itself and kind of hooks up, and the car starts. So that's the grandpa helping him start it, because he wants him to have this vehicle for whatever reason, because he knows something they don't know yet, because they haven't figured out what he was working on the whole time he was there, and why he left New York to go there. So over the course of the movie, we're finding out that he thought that something bad was going to happen, and it was going to be coming from there, because that's the mine where they were getting that special kind of steel that they built that one building with, and that down in there is like a hole to the center of hell or whatever, another realm or something. We don't know for sure, but those creatures that were like dog creatures, lizard dogs or whatever, down there. Okay. So you see that, and then they figure out, when the granddaughter's looking over the thing, trying to figure out what that is, and sees a movement coming up towards her, enveloping cloud, like with creatures and stuff moving around, and it's really scary. All of a sudden you see all those these packs that he had converted into towers that point down into this hole, and they all come on because of the motion it triggers them, and it keeps it, and it pushes them back down again. So that's why they were having all these seismic activity, because every time the creatures were starting to come out again, it would cause an earthquake around the whole town, and the whole town was all shaking. And so, because it was just a little town. So he had basically rigged this up to try to keep them at bay until he could figure out how he could trap Gozer in that giant trap. And they made fun of him in town, because they said he was always out there tilling the ground and stuff, but he was never planting anything. They called him the dirt farmer. That was his nickname. Well, the reason was because he had traps planted in the ground, and had these giant, I don't know what you call those giant battery things with the things that stuck up for power. I don't know what those are called. I'm sorry.
What are you talking about?
But when the towers that the kid ends up shooting at the end to start the spark, so the traps would all work. It's like a giant battery setup
Yep.
system. So he was working on all these things to try to protect the humanity, just like what they did in New York. Because you got to remember, he's the character that came up with the containment system. So even when they were putting the traps in there and would open up, and they said, "Boy, it's getting full. It's filling up." And he's the one that did that. He's the one that came up with the whole system by using magnetic force and everything to keep them all in there. And that's what he had done. He had figured out a way to contain all the ghosts and everything, and he was trying to lure Gozer to his house so that he could trap Gozer in there and not be able to and lock him up for good, or lock it up for good. But he hadn't been able to get that far yet because he died before he got a chance to do that. But when they're there and the granddaughter gets the pack and she's trying to fight Gozer to get the trap to set off, and her mom pushes the lever and then steps on the thing, but the power breaks off because all the stuff's old. It's not been taken care of really well because it was him by himself trying to do it. And you see all the cars all around, and he's been using parts of cars and different things to build this giant battery and these traps so that he could capture a Gozer in those traps to conceal it so he could save the planet from the invasion, basically, because it's a destroyer, right? But that's when I got real emotional, and I've seen this 3 times, and I cry every time at this scene, not because the mom and the daughter, but because to sit there and see the granddaughter trying to fight, and then Gozer grabs a hold of her and is pulling her to him or it to kill her, basically, and all of a sudden you hear the voices of the Ghostbusters, and you turn around and you got Dan Aykroyd, what's the name of them? Ernie Hudson and Bill Murray, standing there with their packs on their back, and they're acting all cocky and stuff, but they're grandpas now. They're not young anymore. They've aged 25 years. So to see that, it just got me so emotional because it was just so nice to see that. And they showed up right when they were needed, at the very end. And the brother was trying to help his sister, and he couldn't because all those little marshmallow creatures had been chewing on the thing to be able to use his backpack to help her. So all of it was all really tense and everything. So when they start fighting with her, that's when it's like the old movie again, and they're trying to cross the streams to capture Gozer, and it's working. But Gozer's had 25 years to think about how they were captured and before, and this time they started pulling the things apart. Yep. So it's learned over the years. So the granddaughter is trying to go from the backside and help them, and when that happens, and she's not being able to fight because the backpack's not strong enough, that's when her grandpa, all of a sudden you see his spirit, and he grabs a hold of her hand and starts helping her hold the stream steady. And I just got all choked up and everything, as I thought it was great. And the CGI was wonderful, I thought, as you can see from that picture that you showed earlier. And that's when it gives the other 3 time to be able to get back up and get their packs. And when they're getting her, and the Gozer's falling apart and having a really hard time because there's 4 packs on it at the time. And that's when the younger brother realizes the battery won't work. So he takes, or the other brother, the older brother, and he takes his pack and he puts it on the battery to charge it up, and then all the traps open. And that's when Gozer's taken apart and put in the traps. So it was like, I just loved the ending. I thought it was very dramatic and exciting because you didn't know what was going to happen. And then afterward, that's when the granddaughter, and the grandson, all of them get to see their grandpa. And he doesn't speak to them. He just nods his head and acknowledges them. And they understand now why he went there and why he made the farm and set it up the way he did. And then the daughter gets to hug him, and have closure for her to not be a bitch anymore, because she's realized her dad didn't abandon her, because when she saw the pictures on the wall and that he had been tracking her whole life, the whole 20 years while he was gone, uh, trying to keep this at bay, she realized that he did love her, but he had to sacrifice his time with her, just like a military man would, or some other person that works out on ocean liners or whatever. Lots of parents have to sacrifice the time they have with their children for all these jobs. Firemen, they work 48-hour shifts. Paramedics, police officers, all of these people have to sacrifice time away from their child or their children for their jobs. Okay, so to me, any person watching the movie, seeing the sacrifice that he made to try to protect the planet, even though we know it's no such thing as ghosts and all that stuff, it's still connected with me for that part, because I grew up with my dad being gone for 6-9 months at a time, and I couldn't call him or anything because we didn't know where he was, because he was doing some undercover work or whatever in the Air Force. So I don't know. Maybe that's why I connected with it so much, and I got so emotional, because it was so nice to see the character arcs go up and back down where they belonged as a family unit throughout the whole movie, to see them become something else. A fit family. They're all there for each other, and they understood what had happened and why they were where they were. So I just loved that. I thought the closure was great. And it's the fact that you see all the Ghostbusters standing side by side fighting a ghost is, to me, I just thought it was a wonderful tribute to him, for him dying. And I just thought it was great. I don't know what else to say about it, but I just loved it. It was very nostalgic, and it made me cry. It kept me, intact through the whole movie, and I was rooting for them. And to see the old people step down and hand it over to the younger generation of Ghostbusters that might want to keep doing it if they need to, because they don't need to, because Gozer basically was trapped, and as long as they keep Gozer trapped, there's no reason they won't need to hunt ghosts anymore, because basically they go where they belong, just like he did when after he hugged his daughter, he just went back where he belonged. His soul was free, and I thought that was a wonderful ending. And then at the very end, remember, after the credits went by, that scene was really good. The two
I
cut
like
scenes
the
they
end
had.
with Ernie. I liked Ernie's scene at the very end. I thought that was good. That was worthwhile. I'm
And
not a, I
the other
mean,
scene after that.
I guess, I guess we're gonna come to the point in the movie discussion where Bruce realizes that he does not like movies where the older heroes have to pass the torch to the younger heroes. I
Hmm.
don't like that. I'm good. Uh, when I watched The Force Awakens, I fell asleep during the fucking lightsaber fight
Yeah.
between the dark haired girl and the shitty kid with the big nose. I'm not going to give a shit about their names, nor do I expect you to correct me on it. I think you're a fucking loser if you do that. But I fucking I fucking despised every aspect of the Star Wars movie in 2015 with The Force Awakens.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I I don't give a shit about what people think. I love the expanded universe, which is superior to anything Disney did. Even the Yuzon Vong storylines are much better than what Disney did. And now Disney's trying to borrow every aspect of the expanded universe because people like me are out there, and we were the ones buying Star Wars stuff. We were the ones that bought the fucking role playing game back in '86 that made Star
Uh-huh.
Wars a fucking resurgence, to where
Yeah.
Tim Zahn used it as the source material for his trilogy, which put it back in popular culture. Just keep that in mind. The nerds are the ones that made Star Wars cool. It had its run till '83, sat till '87. RPG comes out. Then in the '90s, you have a resurgence because there's a new series of Star Wars novels, and video games are coming out because computers are getting better. You have X-Wing TIE Fighter, the best game ever for flight sims. Then you had X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, a bunch of other stuff. You had something on N64. But without the nerds, they wouldn't have had anything that Disney could have looked at like, oh yeah, this is worth definitely $5 billion. And instead of them wanting to continue the characters, they want to kill the characters off and give us some garbage kid characters, which I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about the kids. I give a fuck about the old characters, and if I have to read books where the characters are younger in their earlier days, I'll do that. I don't give a shit about the young characters and the young kids that are descendants of the Ghostbusters. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. I would love to see um, Venkman. I'd love to see Venkman's like 30 fucking illegitimate children come out, and half of them are psychics, half of them are really fucking good at like just figuring out stuff because they already know they're psychic. I'd be
Mhm.
willing to go with that because that was established in the first movie. He's kind of got some leanings towards the psychic bullshit. But having this movie come out where Egon and Ann Potts' character didn't hook up at the very end and make a daughter or a son,
Mhm.
that the first time I watched it, I didn't even catch that Ann Potts wasn't related to
Yeah,
her.
but the thing is,
I
the second movie that came out showed you
She
her
had
with,
another boyfriend. I get it,
yeah. So I'm just
and
saying. So
that,
and even
but
at the end of the movie, the first Ghostbusters, when with Sigourney Weaver in it, okay, because Bill Murray was after her the whole time because he just thought she was hot. And even in the second one, she had a baby with some guy that played the oboe or something, whatever, because she was just a New Yorker or whatever. But in the first movie, you see her end up with the other guy, the key master ends up with whatever they, I don't know
talking
what they call
about
them.
little Rick Moranis.
Yeah, Rick Moranis. That's who Potts ended up with, basically, in that movie. So, in the original. So when you watch it again, just watch their relationship and you'll see it. But
And I will. I'll watch it again. I do love Rick Moranis, and I hope that he's going to be occasionally back in the acting community because his books, his movies are good. His work is good.
mhm.
He's a funny little man. Um, I just I didn't like the fact that we had to pass this off to the younger
I
crowd.
know,
Like
and
we could,
that's really
and I
hard.
mean
But
that's
just
it's.
like what you said, when you saw all three of them standing there, you could
Mhm.
see that there's no way they could make a whole new series with them. They're too
No,
old.
no, they're too old.
They, they're
So
too old. But everyone ages, and that's why I thought it was very graceful the way
uh,
that they did it, because they let the original people be in this movie to pass the torch over to the next generation. Depending on, now, if they don't write a good script or whatever, make it stupid or whatever,
I,
then there's nothing I can do about it. But this movie, for me, as a lover of Ghostbusters and a nerd, okay, I'm a geek and I've got tons of comic books. I'm into all this stuff.
yeah,
So I really love this stuff. And to me, as a mom too, and seeing it as a mom, and seeing how that mom was frazzled. She's single, she's broke, she has no money, she has no place to live, she's got evicted, and she's frazzled. She's like worn down to a nub. And she didn't, to me, she wasn't, I didn't think she was that good of a mom, anyways. But I don't like to judge other mothers or other parents on how they raise their kids. Like if you want to have a kid that's a latchkey kid, I never did that because I always made sure that somebody was there to pick up my kids from school or whatever else. They were never by themselves, even when they were 13. I mean, maybe I was overly protective, but to me, I didn't think that they're too easily swayed by friends and different things like that. And that's what I loved about this one. When they had all the teenagers hanging out, together and stuff, and the way that they were just, you know, talked into stuff so easily, that happens, you know what I mean? So, I just liked it. It was, to me, they did a very good, realistic point of view of teenagers and how they deal with their mother. And the few things that the mother did with her daughter and the way she reprimanded her. But then one minute she's telling her to pick a lock, and then the next minute she's telling her, well, you're just as bad as your dad, your grandpa, that type of hurtful thing. So,
mhm.
to me, it made me not like the mother character as much. It wasn't really so much that I didn't like the actress. It was just that I didn't really like the character. I just did, yeah, just like what you said earlier. I didn't. I agree with you. To me, she was the only one in the movie that I really didn't like. I even liked the cop, the guy that played the cop in the police department that had to deal with the kids after they, went through the town trying to shoot down some kind of muncher that ate metal with a backpack, nuclear powered backpack, destroying half of Main Street. I thought it was comical and was funny, and I laughed a lot, especially since they didn't really know what the vehicle could do or anything, because the one little girl is sitting in that one chair, and she's holding the backpack ready to try to get the muncher, and the other kid climbs over the seat, and when he does, he pushes on a lever with his shoe, and she shoots out the side of the car. I thought all of it was very adorable. I just kept saying, I know I said that a lot, but I couldn't help it. I just thought they were so cute together. The little boy that became her best friend basically in school, his name was Podcast, and then they, at the very end, when he got to meet Dan Aykroyd's character, and he said some stuff, and he goes, "Oh, you're my one subscriber," or something like that. It was just adorable, because everybody's online somehow in that connection. I thought was really good. I just thought the real life changes from what it was like in the 1980s when the Ghostbusters was famous till now. It was in 2022 when this movie came out. So I thought they did very good at connecting and showing the difference between the old and the new, and bringing them together, and then have actual conversations about things, and realize, wow, it's so cool. I could talk to someone that actually is listening to me and understands where I'm coming from. That's why I love Paul Rudd's character so much, is the fact that he was a science teacher, and he was trying to teach kids that didn't want to learn. Okay. They didn't want to listen to him. And he was impressed when he had a young girl that was interested in science. And then he finds out she's the Ghostbusters granddaughter, and he sees the trap that they'd brought in, and he's like, wow, that is the coolest replica. That's how I am when I get stuff. When I get stuff and I'm looking, I was like, wow, that's so awesome that you have that. And we're all playing with it and looking at it, because that's how we are. That's what, at least my friends that are nerds like me, or geeks, whatever you want to call us, that's what we like. We enjoy it. We like collecting things and sharing it with our friends and talking about it and stuff, instead of watching a football game, whatever. But you might like football, but I'm not really into those kind of sports. Maybe the Olympics, a few things like that. But seeing Paul Rudd's character be me, or someone like me, I really liked that. I thought that was really cool. And the fact that he was childlike enough to take those two students that were in there with him when he saw the trap out to the bus parking area, and put the trap on the hood of his car, and then take some jumper cables and hook it on the trap and hook it up to one of the buses, and then they put goggles and stuff on, and they back up and they try to open the trap to see what's in it. And he knew, he said he knew a lot about the Ghostbusters. So he knew there had to be an entity in there, but he still wanted to do it like a big kid. And yeah. I just thought it was fun. I thought he was a fun, jovial character in there, but he was an adult, and then that's why he got along so well with some of the younger students, because he really wasn't much of an adult when it came to the nerd stuff, when it came to science and different things like, making the volcano overflow and different things like that. It was always fun for me. And I'm an adult, and sometimes I can be childlike, I guess, when it comes to going to Comic-Con or something like that. But seeing them open that trap and they go, oh shit, he goes, we need to get out of here. And they said, well, we're kids or something. He goes, well, I'm an adult, so I'm liable. So yeah, the whole time his car window smashed out, and he's driving it around. I just thought
there was one part where I thought this movie really did well. And that was the scene where initially they're at the school buses, they open the trap, and the demon runs off to the ghost demon runs off to the mountain, and it shatters all the glass, including his front windshield. And then later, whenever the big terror dog is chasing him, and he dukes the hazards across the hood of his car into the cab of his car, and
Yeah.
starts getting himself ready, but he forgot his keys. So he's got to dig his keys out and he gets taken by the terror dog. The part,
Yeah.
like the fact is, windshield's still gone made me happy. Showed me that only a
Yeah.
day or two had passed, and I thought the movie, like, there's some real competent parts of it, but the emotional beats for me just completely missed. And doesn't this movie doesn't shine for me like it should. It's riding too hard on member berries, and too many times it's trying to get you to remember a scene, so they throw a musical cue out there, and you can kind of tell like they're trying to get you back in the mood for 1984 or 1988, whatever movie they're trying to resurrect on screen right in front of you. And it was kind of okay, but it never fully came together for me. And while this was a much more entertaining view that I had this time than
Mhm.
last time, because last time I was by myself and I was just cussing the screen all the time and throwing popcorn and just not enjoying myself. I
Oh.
That was shit. But watching it with family and friends, very recommended. I don't find this movie to be that fun. I don't really like the emotional beats it tries to force. Uh, I think the movie would have done a lot better with less interaction from the family and
Mhm.
more focus on where Egon fucked up with his fellow Ghostbusters.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think that ties into it because he also neglected his daughter. He neglected her really hard. And
Mhm.
it sucks, but there's some backstory to the movie that I think maybe I'm going to read first before I watch it a third time, and it'll be a while. But there's a book about Harold Ramis's daughter called Daughter of a Ghostbuster,
Mhm.
and both McKenna Grace and Kelly Coon had to watch and read this book to get an idea of what it was like to be Harold Ramis's daughter during the 80s. And so
Yeah, and he
I'm
was
very
really busy.
interested. I'm really interested in what it would be like. I think that'd be a good read.
Well, his
So
son is the one that filmed this one, right? That directed this?
Ivan Reitman's son Jason directed.
Okay. So the fact that he put some of the stuff about the way the daughter felt about being abandoned by her father, just like I said, a lot of my friends had fathers and mothers that were in the military, and they feel like they got ripped off. I've seen them throughout different times in my life, depending on what's going on, where we family gatherings or whatever, and a lot of them felt like. And a lot of them didn't stay married. See, that was another sad fact in the military, is that half of my friends' parents were divorced. And the reason why is because they didn't like the fact that they weren't around each other enough. And it does. You have to see someone more often to have a relationship with them. So if you have months and months to go by, you have too much time to find other things to occupy your mind and your time. So when they come back, it's almost like they're a burden. They're pushing in where you don't need them because you already fulfilled that hole with something else. So you move on. So I mean, it's just like when someone dies and they're no longer there, you miss them, but over time, it gets easier to deal with it because they're not there. They're not there to hug. They're not there to talk to or buy gifts for or to go to dinner with or anything anymore. They're not there to hold your hand, give you a hug or anything. So it's easier to let go of them that way. And that's what happens when you have a relationship where they're not there. The other person isn't there, and and especially one when you're young and they leave, you don't know if it was why didn't they love me? What's wrong with me? I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't what was wrong with me? And you constantly live with that for the rest of your adult life. As you grow up, you thinking, constantly looking in the mirror and thinking, I'm not good enough for anyone. No one's going to ever want me if my own dad didn't want me. You can put all these scenarios in there, but the sad fact is that the effect of her bad attitude because she felt like she wasn't worth it. You know what I mean? So why should she work really hard when she's never going to achieve the feelings that she felt she needed from her dad, that she was loved, that she was worthy, and she wasn't able to really give that to her own kids. So and you can see that in
She's
throughout
more
the whole character arcs through the movie, and that's really sad. That's a sad thing. That's why, to me, the closure at the end, to be able to see her father and to have seen that what was in his laboratory before she got turned into a lizard dog thing, whatever. She saw that thing on the wall of all the newspaper clippings and other things that he collected through the years of her growing up, things that she did in school, and all that stuff, Christmas pictures and all that was all on the wall because he did miss her and he wanted to be with her, but he felt where he was at wasn't safe, wasn't a good place for her to be. And he couldn't leave because nobody believed him. The other Ghostbusters thought he was nuts. So basically, maybe if one of the other Ghostbusters would have come to his house and stayed for a little bit, he could have went and visited his family. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. Life isn't always what we want, but for us to be able to accept and listen to the truth and see the truth about why they weren't there, and to try to make up for it later, by saying, okay, we're going to reconnect, and I forgive you. To forgive, the power of forgiveness is really, really powerful. There's just so much in the script. I just thought it was really, really well done. And I thought you could feel the love of the director, to me, on the way he tried to put as much as he could of love for this original Ghostbusters in this story, and just little things here and there, but also usher in a brand new group of maybe Ghostbusters. Or even if they don't become Ghostbusters, they gave a beautiful closing for the old Ghostbusters to be able to step down and lay down their packs. I'll put it that way. I just thought it was really good. I really loved it, and I do recommend that if you watch this with your kids, let's say you got some young kids, even 8 years old, and up, to get the original Ghostbusters and maybe the second one, and then watch this one. So have 3 movies in a row, have movie night, and watch these 3, because to me, this movie closes off the other 2 in style and gives them dignity at the end. I really like it.
As much as people don't like to watch video games or Let's Play, the 2009 Ghostbusters video game, I feel, is actually kind of superior to this. The Ghostbusters are together. The voices are right. It's a video game, so you don't have to worry about physicality. It's people flipping around with polygons and shit, not like having to do stunt work and lots of CG that your brain just can't handle. It's a good game. I would recommend a viewing of that. See if you like it. Maybe you will watch it all the way to the end, because the ending is great. The ending is fantastic, and for me, the ending, that's the real Ghostbusters 3. Not the crap that like other people have been talking about, like this movie or some Frozen crap or some 2016
or all
movie.
women.
I don't like that. That just doesn't exist to me. After the mistake of Star Wars, I realized, nah, I'm good. No more. No, the only reboot I'm watching is Cobra Kai, because Cobra Kai still loves its audience, it loves its lore, and it's
I love
wise enough.
Cobra Kai.
It's wise enough to split the storylines to where you get an idea of who the kids are, you get an idea who the adults are, and then once you have an idea of where everybody kind of starts off from, then everything just starts to tangle together like a giant grapevine, and it works out really well. It's a very, very big mess for the 5 seasons I've watched, but I loved it. I've loved Cobra Kai, and I can't wait to see the ending of it. I think it's probably the best show I've watched for quite a many number of years, and I just started tuning into Babylon 5 here recently in season 4 now. Season 4 is not as great, but it's okay. And then I started watching.
Are you going to be able to deal with the fact that the Cobra Kai is the young man now grown up, and now he has his own kids, and he's going to be a grandpa, and he's having to lay down his karate belt?
I'll be
basically.
able to deal with that a lot better because Cobra Kai loved itself to where there wasn't a huge jump in logic. In fact, Cobra Kai started off by going directly to the guys that were fans of the first movie and portraying Johnny Lawrence in a sympathetic hero character to
Hmm.
where we just wanted him to win. For fucking sake, one time, Johnny, win.
Yeah.
And that was where I was coming from because when this movie came out, I had been in Texas for about 6 years and I had lived for 30 years as a nerd, a geek, never made over $30,000 a year.
Hmm.
And then when I moved to Texas, and I'm like, fuck it, dive into it headlong, embrace the oil and gas culture, wrap your head
Hmm.
around it, and just fucking love every minute because you're probably not going to live very long. And that's just kind of how I was thinking. Like I was in the oil and gas industry, and all my coworkers and supervisors were doing hookers and blow, and I wasn't because I had a hazmat, so I got to keep my license. I can't get caught with things in my urine. But I really enjoyed it, and in 2018, when Cobra Kai comes out, I'm watching it going, I know where Johnny's been. I know what it's like to have a few successes in high school and then go decades and watch everybody else just start going with family and having job promotions and have steady jobs. And I was
Hmm.
stuck in a location where I really couldn't move out. I was hosed in, I was hemmed in. And once I finally broke out of it, my life took off. But I had to mentally break free and allow myself to just fall in love with a job first because I really wasn't. I always thought beforehand I was better than this menial labor job that I had. And once I started to love the fact that I was working and I was able to do stuff and I was getting paid well, but you love the fact that you show up for work every day on time and you can do stuff and nobody's complaining about the way that you work and everybody's just happy that you're fucking there and you're embracing the shit out of it. You become a valuable worker. And I had to go through that paradigm shift of just learn how to embrace and love things, because if not, I would have stayed in that same hole where I was at, where it's just a bunch of crappy little jobs, and all those crappy little jobs I had, they've closed down. All the sales jobs I had, no longer they closed down. There are only two jobs that are left in those buildings where I was at is Walmart and Kroger, and I don't have a high opinion of either. In fact, I stay away from Walmart when I'm in Texas.
Hmm.
Just saying. But and not that I'm better than Walmart, but I don't like going to a Walmart. It's not the shopping nirvana I want it to be. It's more like you people are walking far too slow. I'm here for these 7 items. I'm going to leave with these 7 items, and I want to do it in less than what takes me to listen to this Anthrax song on my earbuds, and that's it. But I just had a lot of problems, and I mean, you guys are seeing, after I come, you listen to a guy talk on the internet for a few years, and he's telling you things like, I wasn't a great person, I was not a good worker, and I had to change. And that's some of the things that I had to go through. I had to really change huge, but I learned the values of that after I was able to start doing things. I was able to start becoming fungible and enjoying myself a little bit more, and being able to go for those things, do those bucket list items. And so watching Johnny's experience in Cobra Kai was wonderful. And that was because it didn't really get too far out of the Cobra Kai milieu. It kind of kept it where it was supposed to be at in the Riverside Greater Valley area of LA. And it's a fun show. But very few reboots do that. Every other reboot that comes out, like they want to go stunning and brave characters, and Cobra Kai really hasn't done that. Now, you could make the argument where Ralph Macchio's daughter plays to the woke crowd, or Peyton List plays to the woke crowd, but they don't, because their characters are flawed and their characters have these huge setbacks where they have to learn how to do things. And like Peyton List's character doesn't have a healthy mother, so she's out working 2 or 3 jobs to try to get her mom squared away on medicine, put roof over the head, etc. But very few things really honor the Lord. this movie honored the lore, yes, but I could see where the script could be just massively improved. This felt like it would have been done so much better if it, not, no offense to Jason Reitman, good on him for being a director and following in his dad's footsteps, but I don't feel this was the movie that he needed to have his hands on. This would have been better with Ivan all the way through, and Ivan died shortly after its release. Rest in peace, Ivan.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
I think this movie would have benefited better from an older set of hands. And I'm not trying to say young people can't do shit. That far from it. Young people do great things all the time. Look at our United States military. It's not ran by fucking 70-year-olds in 11 Bravo status. Yeah, Pentagon runs it, but you got 18 and 20-year-old kids fixing shit, fixing the problems wherever they're at. So just keep that in mind. I'm not going to an 18 or 20-year-old kid for wit and wisdom. I'm going to an 18 and 20-year-old kid like, hey, protect this fucking 70-foot stretch of grass, and here's some magazines for you, and here's some water, and this is your wheelhouse. Be good with it. And
Mhm.
I when I look at a movie like this, which is supposed to honor lore from a 1984 movie and a 1988 sequel, maybe the cartoon as well, because this had the Ecto One with the gunner's chair that could pop out, and that was kind of neat. I think the toy did that too,
Yeah,
but
wasn't that in the cartoon?
it was in the cartoon, not in the second movie, not in the first movie. But it was so well done. This movie did a lot of things well, but then the script for me completely just, I didn't like it, and I want to. I want to like it because it's got the people that I recognize, but they're just cameos here to pass the torch.
Hmm.
And while I like Flynn Wolfhard and Grace McKenna as actors, and they've acted really competently in things other than this, the fact that they were tied to Callie Coon's weak mother's portrayal and the script that she was given, which she can only do so much, but I didn't I did not appreciate it. So I'm going to say 49%. This movie is a 49%, and plus for the third Ghostbusters story, the game, it's so good. And it for me, it is the third Ghostbusters movie. If you haven't played it,
Yeah,
if you
but
can
there's
find
many people out there that don't play video games. Okay,
it, that's fine.
I'm one out of five kids, and I can tell you right now, I'm the only one in my family that plays video games. So there's lots of families out there, and they all love Ghostbusters, as far as I can tell.
Yeah,
Now, I'm not 100% sure if even all of them have seen this one, but I would definitely tell them, hey, this is a really good movie. You need to take your kids and watch it because it's very well done for closing the door on the original Ghostbusters, and I thought they did a really good job, especially when um, Dan Aykroyd tells the daughter, "We're going to go in and have some hot cocoa in their house,
yeah.
and serve themselves basically." So I just liked it because it showed that they all loved each other. They worked hard together, and they were welcoming to his family, even though they never met him before, because they loved him. You know, I just liked it. I mean, I just loved it. I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay,
I'll give
a
it
9 out
10
of
to the
10.
original. Yeah, a 9 out of 10, but I would give 10 to Ghostbusters, the original movie. It's one of my favorite movies, especially for a comedy. I just thought it was an ingenious movie. The hit song
Lightning in a
came
bottle.
along with it. I mean, just had so much, and then everybody I knew collects, Ghostbuster trivia, items or whatever, and I didn't know anyone that didn't know about what Ghostbusters was. So
Well, back in '84, I mean, you have to understand that was also
you had
there
lunchboxes.
that you had the lunch boxes, and you had other media all the time that we consumed and we carried around with us, the
Mhm.
T-shirts, the hats, all that. But
Costumes for Halloween,
the costumes were
tons of
lit.
stuff.
But in '84, there was such good competition for movies.
Hmm.
I mean, I'll pull up the list here. Give me a second. But 1984, one of the best movie years America's ever had.
Yeah. The late 80s and 90s, early 90s, some of the 90s, but towards the end of the 90s, that's when I started seeing more and more stuff that was trying to push an agenda instead of making a good movie to watch. So the late 80s, you know, and
So just off of
90s was really
Wikipedia,
good for
just off
movies.
Wikipedia right now, I'm
Hmm.
going to give you the top 10 films of '84.
Okay.
Flash, with Ron Howard as director. The Search for
Splash,
Spock,
yeah.
directed by Search for Spock with Star Trek 3, directed by Leonard
Hmm.
Nimoy. Number 9 movie. Number 8, one of my favorite Indiana Jones style films, Romancing the Stone, Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Then you had number 7, Footloose, where Kevin Bacon showed us all how to deal with crappy little towns. Number 6, oh, this is not a good look. Police Academy.
Yeah. I
Number
never saw
5,
it.
oh man, I don't want to have to watch that movie to show you.
Which
Number
one is it?
5,
Oh,
Police
go ahead.
Academy is number 5. Number 6.
You're
Number
right.
5 is The Karate Kid.
Yeah. That I
Number
remember
4,
watching that and loving it.
yeah, I haven't watched it in many years, but it's a great movie. Um, Number 4 is The Gremlins, which is one of my favorite Joe Dante films ever.
Hmm.
Probably top 10 movie for me, only beaten by its sequel. Gremlins 2, the new batch,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it was good too. I remember watching it.
Number 3 for '84 was Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, which is the weakest of the 3 Indiana Jones movies.
That was number 4.
That was number 3.
Number 3. Okay.
Number 2 for 1984 is The Beverly Hills Cop at $224 million.
Hmm. That was a
Eddie
good
Murphy,
movie.
yeah, he played Axel Foley. He did a great job. You've got
Hmm.
Ronnie Cox in it, and I can't remember the name of the little blonde-haired girl that played in it, but she was a hell of an actress.
Hmm.
And you've got some very good actors
Was
that
that
have
Tina Leone?
no,
Oh,
no,
wasn't she
she's
in one of them?
no. You're thinking of Bad Boys.
Oh, that's right. I am.
The
Sorry.
first Bad Boy.
Yeah, I was.
Lisa Eichenbacher is the girl. Lisa Marie Ellie Eilbacher is who it is, and then
Mhm.
you've got Ronnie Cox, John Ashton, Judge Reinhold, Eddie Murphy. Great fucking movie.
Yeah, very, very good. It was very funny.
The number 1 movie for 1984 is Ghostbusters, which
Hmm.
I didn't even realize that. I just know that this
I
movie
just thought I
was,
knew it was well liked, so I didn't know it was the number one movie in 1984.
yeah, $229 million.
A lot of money
Yeah,
back then.
in
I wonder
'84,
how
that's
much
a
it
chunk.
would be today if that movie had made that much money. How much would it be
I have
today? How much money do you
I
think
have
it?
no idea, but they spent between 25 and $30 million on it, and it came out with almost 296.6 million, according to the Indian box office from both foreign and domestic.
Hmm.
It is such a good film.
I thought it was great.
It's lightning in a bottle. I think I rated this movie at a 90%. There's very few things about the movie I don't appreciate, and it's the fastest 105-minute movie that I'd watched up until I'd seen the greatest movie of all time, which is Big Trouble in Little China.
Every time someone mentions Ghostbusters, I always think of the one scene and they go, "Get her!" The library woman in the library. I'll never forget that as long as I live. That was just to me, an iconic line. That when they realize what they're up against, I
Interesting.
thought it was just really funny. I just love that movie. The
Now I
three
look
of them
at
were
there's another page on
phenomenal.
Wikipedia
Yeah.
that says Ghostbusters was number 2, Beverly Hills Cop was number 1. That's really weird.
Well, they
Box
probably
office
made almost the same amount of money.
about 235 million for Beverly Hills Cop. Ghostbusters at 229 million.
Is that
But
completely for that one year,
that
or is that an
that's
all time after
that,
that?
I think that's box office gross over time. I don't think that includes distribution for DVD or digital, but that's a really good year for like movies. If you're a movie cinephile type, the 84 is really, you could just sit there and mine that for content for weeks. You could be happy with that. And I think anybody should, because we haven't had a good set of movies like that in years, and we're probably not going to get that ever again. Um, right now, me and Janet were talking offline, and we talked about how there's, if you have a character that's an amputee, that you have to star an amputee in that role. You can't have somebody just like CGI it like Lieutenant Dan. No, you have to actually hire an amputee. You have to find an amputee that can act. You have to find somebody that, if you're playing a gay person or somebody, you have to give it to non-white male.
Mm-hmm.
And while that might be in theory, it might be okay in practice. Not using meritocracy as your guide is going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
So, by any other metric, meritocracy is eliminated. So, I'm not saying white males are better than anybody else by any means, but you're not going to
Well,
have individuals
it should
that.
all go by your ability to act. That's how
Mhm.
you should get a part. Just like you hire someone who's went through the training to be a paramedic, uh, why would you not want someone who's got the right skills for the job? See, to me, that doesn't make any sense. I think it's going to hurt the industry in the long run, simply
It
for
will.
the fact that you're skipping past people that probably play that role 10 times better, and you could CGI them a fake leg, or or
Exactly.
something like that. To me, it's going to hurt. I think it's going to hurt the industry more by not being able to let people act the part, instead of just picking them because they happen to have that one whatever trait or whatever that you think is going to be more important, more authentic. I don't think so. I think it's going to hurt in the long run.
Another really interesting note is just all the things that happened leading up to this. This movie was created because 2016 apparently failed. I refuse to acknowledge 2016 exists,
Yeah.
because it's just like, you guys, you fucked yourself. I don't give a shit about your all female cast. I never watched Ocean's 8 either. I don't need to worry about what Sandra Bullock does with a heist, because that movie seems like it was made, well, it's like a heist movie, but it's with all girls. That doesn't interest me. You're forcing the onus and the crux of the action on people because of an immutable characteristic. That doesn't sound good. Six Nation says PC Xbox 360 has been out since 2008 or so. Catch the long play on YouTube to see it. It's pretty good.
I just looked something up. I wanted to see which movie that came out in 1984 has made the most money over time. And this is what it says. The year's highest grossing film in the United States and Canada was Beverly Hills Cop. Ghostbusters overtook it, however, with a re release the following year. So they made the most money, basically, Ghostbusters. So
Interesting.
this is
And
great.
I don't remember
Yeah.
Ghostbusters coming out in '85 either.
I guess they re-released it because they, once it, I guess, went down or whatever and was getting hyped up, they put it back out again when the song came out. I think it was a number one song on the
Hmm.
radio.
But
So
it was only like maybe 2 months later that I remember the song hitting like a huge repeat
I think
time.
that's why they decided to re-release it. I'm on it right now. It says in 1984 in film. Look that up in Wikipedia. It's very interesting. The information and stuff. I bookmarked it so I can look at it later. But it's got some really good tidbits in there because it's got all the years. But I was just interested in 1984 because that's when this one came out.
I mean, there is a period on this channel with Janet as my co-host that I exquisitely mined for movies from 1994. I did like 5 or 6 movies in a row from '94, and then Janet kind of ruined that by going, "Oh yeah, here's Bad Girls," and I'm like,
Yeah, but it's one of your most watched videos.
I
on your
know.
channel. I mean, it's not the top, but it's not
No,
as low as some of the others. It's gone up.
I'm not
So
certain which one is the top video on my channel, but I
I
know
think
it's
it's
over
still The Great Raid because that's my favorite
2.
movie of all time.
Okay. Um, it doesn't hurt my feelings at all that my favorite movie of all time is not the top rated film. I accept the fact that my movie was made for $5, and that's quite
But did
okay.
we review your movie already?
Yeah, we reviewed Big
Oh,
Trouble in Little China long
okay.
ago. It
I
was
was
like
trying to
episode
remember.
8.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that movie's still my favorite movie of all time. In fact, 2 weeks ago, I was in my Discord at like 3 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I woke up and I just like Saturday morning, woke up, turned on Big Trouble in Little China, aired it on Discord. Nobody came in and watched it. 4 people asked me, "Hey, were you up last night?" Yeah, I was up. "Well, I saw you were in your movie room on Discord. What was that about?" "Yeah, I was watching Big Trouble in Little China, and I thought if you wanted to come watch it with me, you would."
Hmm.
"Oh, that's what you're doing?" "Yeah." "Well, did you see it was 3 in the morning?" I'm like, "Uh-huh. I usually wake up at 1, but I got to sleep in,
Well,
wake up
your
at
job
3."
has changed it now. That's why.
I completely panicked that morning, and I thought, "Oh my god, I'm late for my work," and then I realized it's Saturday, so I got to go into work. And I watched and I stayed up till like 6 a.m. and I went to bed again, and then I woke up at like 9 or 10, and I kind of scrubbed around, did some stuff, and then I game time. But I really, I occasionally I do that because that's my favorite film, and I really have no compunction about doing something like that because that movie just is timeless. Just like a lot of people feel that Ghostbusters is the greatest movie of all time, it's quite simply lightning in a bottle. To me, it's not the rampant lightning in a bottle that Star Wars was in 1977, but it really does a good job of just capturing a moment in time. It does a good job with showing you how the 80s culture is, with all the derogatory and toxic masculinity that's exhibited in that film. That movie's perfect, almost. There's a few scenes that I would do a lot different, but I really enjoy the original Ghostbusters. This movie, I thought parts of it were okay. Reitman probably is not the right guy for this. This is a big film, and he did moderately okay, but I rated it a 49 for a reason. And I
Hmm.
like him. I like the idea of him getting better. But this movie probably shouldn't have been so early in his career. Granted,
But
Bill Murray would be dead by the time that he would have released it, and it would be at the right time, and his skill level would be ready. Go ahead, Janet.
well, I found this. It says the year's highest grossing film in the United States and Canada was Beverly Hills Cop. Ghostbusters overtook it, however, with a re-release in the following year. It was the first time in 5 years that the top grossing film did not involve George Lucas or Steven Spielberg. Although Spielberg directed and Lucas executive produced, co-wrote the third placed Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the highest grossing film worldwide that year. Spielberg also executive produced the fourth place Gremlins. So it says the U.S. box office grosses reached 4 billion in the first time, and it was the first year that two films had returned over 100 million to their distributors, with both Ghostbusters and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom achieving this. That is awesome. But
Hmm.
that was back when it seemed like they made movies to be movies. You know what I mean? They weren't agendas. I wish they would go back to the simple form of just entertainment. Don't you?
Yeah.
Because I mean, we just got a taste of that with Deadpool Wolverine. Because to me, I went and watched it, but I loved Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, and I loved him in the other two movies he'd made. But the fact that he was able to get Wolverine in his movie and have a really good story around it was genius. At least I feel, and I think they've made over $1 billion this time. So hopefully Disney, the company that helped Ryan Reynolds, fund his movie to be made, realizes that if you just let people make a movie as entertainment and not try to push a woke agenda on the people, that people will willingly open their wallets and their purses and buy tickets and buy them more than one time. Go see it multiple times. They'll probably download it for home viewing too. And they're making more money over it. And then they'll buy t-shirts and dolls and other collectibles simply for the fact they liked the entertainment. That's what I'm hoping that we can get back to, because that is one reason why you and I seem to always pick movies in the same 80s and 90s era, simply because they made damn good movies back then.
Didn't have anything else going on.
They weren't trying to force it down your throat. I just wish we could go back to that, because I enjoyed it. Be able to sit with your family and your friends and put your feet up, eat popcorn, have a few drinks, and watch a movie that's nothing but entertainment, whether it's a horror, a comedy, an action, a drama, whatever it is. Just let us have our stories. Let us have our entertainment and take the agenda out of it. If you want to make agenda movies and put them to the side and let people that want agendas go watch those, but have other stuff for people like me that just want to watch a movie for the entertainment value. They'll make more money.
Yeah.
I wish I was rich so I could do that. That's exactly what I would do. But
I don't know. So, anything else you want to discuss about Ghostbusters Afterlife?
No, I just think it was really, really well done. And I loved that the fact that I felt the love of the director and all the people in the movie trying to achieve a goal of closing out the story with the original people in it. I just like that.
All right. Next week, we have a special for you. If you wish to watch this movie with us, you'll be watching on October 20th, roughly about 12:30 in the afternoon, in our Discord, The Witches of Eastwick, which is a classic.
Yes.
Movie.
That'd be so good.
Need a good Halloween film, and I think that movie would be perfect for it. Later on during the month, the 27th of October, the Halloween Sunday, be watching the movie In Search of Darkness, which is a documentary about the serial horror films that came out in the 1980s. And hopefully we love it a lot more than we loved In Search of Tomorrow.
Well, In Search of Tomorrow wasn't bad. It was just that the best part was the beginning. Yeah. So, but yeah, I love scary movies. I've always loved vampires and werewolves and all that stuff. So I think I'll really enjoy that documentary.
I agree.
It's going to be fun.
I completely agree. My name is Bruce, and it's 7:30. So we've kind of, we took our time watching the film, discussing things with Six Nations, 31 Kings. Had some technical difficulties here and there. The internet's kind of slow today. I don't know. Maybe we have to send all those immigrants back home so we get our internet back up to speed. Let's see that allowed. I did. Just want to really hammer home to you guys. Just keep your head on a swivel. There's a lot of things going on in the world right now, and just kind of keep your home, keep your arms wrapped around your home as much as you can, and your family. Don't panic, don't have anxiety, but just be prepared. And I think that's the best thing I could say for all of you. Janet, you want to escort us out?
I was going to tell everybody who you're going to call. Have a great